have mustaches? What?
If there's some in this game, I'm going to make sure to make a deal and point it out, but...
There will be no Colossi, Rifkin, because we're here for Game 2 of IBM versus National Instruments for Week 5 of the After Hours Gaming League. We're on Star Station, the map that looks like an ironed-out, squished observer. In the wise words of Mr. Rifkin, the one and the only Canadian man. But who do we actually have spawning here on this map, good sir?
Well, spawning here in the lower right corner of the map is the Red Terran player for IBM. It is Zai. And before we introduce our next player, I do want to say Zai had a request for a shout-out to the person at Albertsons who tripped in front of him because it gave him quite the giggle.
I actually totally forgot about that. Indeed, his opponent's going to be spawning in the top right. He is going to be a Zerg player, SgtYork, spawning as the blue for National Instruments, going for a 10 scout, understandably, because Zai actually is playing random here. So SgtYork does not know what race he is, but he is scouting in the right direction, so he should know.
Well, actually, Zai called out that he was T at the start of the game. Good guy, Zai. Be very manner about his random race. It is, of course...
Yeah, the boss.
This is the first random we've had in the After Hours Gaming League, so it's a little cool that he did that. It is kind of questionable whether you want to use it to your advantage or whether you want to just blurt it out and say, like, look, I'm Terran, deal with it. The one thing I do want to point out here, though, for SgtYork is last week, he had to fight a Terran, he had to fight Lazel, and he did manage to win. So we'll have to see if he can pull it off again today versus Zai.
That's true. SgtYork was one of 2 players last week who was able to break the winning streak of Terrans. Terrans actually had a pretty abysmal week last week for us, Rifkin.
Yeah, I mean, I was flabbergasted that we had a Terran actually lose in Heart of the Swarm, but you know what? It's okay. It's cool. Things happen. We'll recover, Penguin.
Indeed. Rifkin, of course, is our local Terran player, so he cried many tears, but...
Yeah, so proper late introductions here, guys. I am Rifkin. I'm a Terran player at heart. I'm here with Penguin, who's a Masters Zerg player at heart. And now you know all about us.
Yes, that is everything about about us. That's our entire personalities as well.
Yeah, there's nothing else. We don't exist outside of the game. When you leave the room, we turn off. We're like Toy Story type thing.
Yeah, we're actually we're just robots.
To infinity. And copyright. Alright, so ZVT matchup Penguin. Yeah, let's get away from that bad joke. Pretend I never did that. ZVT matchup. I see we already have a reactor and a factory on the way. What do you predict is going to happen, Penguin?
Well, this is obviously going to be going for some Hellion play. The question here is going to be whether or not he adds on a second gas, whether he goes for an armory, how he really wants to follow this up. Because you can, of course, use this to get a good amount of Hellions out, then throw down the armory, and then turn them all into Hellbats, and then just absolutely destroy everything. On the other hand, he could use this to get out some Widow Mines, get maybe a Medevac, try to drop Widow Mines, try to drop Hellbats. We've seen all that happen. So, whereas in Wings of Liberty, this would be a very obvious opening into what he's going to be going into. In HOTS, we really can't quite say what he's going to do just yet.
Yeah, I mean, Widow Mines are really, really freaking cool units, guys. I mean, we can talk all day about Hellbats, balance issues, this and that, but the reality is, a lot of what Terran comes down to is effective use of Widow Mines. My favorite player, one of my pro players, Beastie Cutie from Team Empire, has recently been utilizing them in the coolest way possible, and that is planting them on the ground so that your Bioforce can kite right over them with Stim. And all of a sudden, those Zerglings and Banelings that were chasing you kind of just evaporate into nothingness.
That's true, and we are actually going to be seeing Zai going for Hellions, so looks like it's going to be Hellions. Whether or not he goes Hellbats remains to be seen, but he has quite a bit of gas banked up, so I would assume we'll see either a Starport or an Armory coming down reasonably soon. Oh, he's going to throw down another Barracks. Interesting.
Okay, well, yeah, well, the Hellion opening is very nice. It hasn't changed much from Wings of Liberty, where Hellion Banshee openings are still strong. Hellions in general are much stronger with a Hellbat ability to transform. You can get Zai, I mean, really, whether it's 4 or whether it's 2, you only need to sneak a few Hellions into your opponent's base to just start barbecuing their workers.
Yeah, as our good friend Bat Panda likes to say, BBQ!
Yeah. For those who don't know, by the way, BaseTradeTV, Penguin, myself, Panda, others, we really like doing abusive amounts of Hellions into multiplayer games, 2v2, 3v3, and what have you. It's quite fun.
It is indeed. I actually had that. We had a couple of my Insanity 4v4s before. I went mass BBQ into mass Battlecruiser. It worked very well. But we do actually have the Hellions coming up in front. Looks like he may actually get that. He may get that Creep Tumor if he's lucky.
The Queen moves, the splash damage is no longer hitting, but 5 Hellions!
Get the Creep Tumor. He gets the Creep Tumor.
Yay. The Queen. Oh, wow, 12 health remaining. The Queen does barely get away. No transfuses available for it, unfortunately, but man, Penguin, if he could have got that queen, that would have been huge.
This is going to be Marauder Hellion. We have more tech labs coming down, concussive shells, one Marauder starting. The big question for me now is he going to go Marauder Hellion or Marauder Hellbat? They're both pretty strong. Yeah, there's an armory on the way, so it's going to be Marauder Hellbat.
Hellbats are just ridiculous right now in Heart of the Swarm. It is possible to deal with them, don't get me wrong, but they are super duper strong. Like, to the point where, as a Terran player, I almost feel that they do need a little bit of a tweak. I'm not even going to say nerf, but a tweak. And in the early game, at least, it's not the easiest thing for Zerg to deal with it, but they can. It's not impossible, but the damage is really high. With Marauders backing them up, basic Roaches are really out of the question, but here comes a lot of frying of these Zerglings. They do have speed, so they will get away for now, and Zai can't ignore these. If these go all the way to his base, he could be in some trouble.
He does have a wall here. It's actually a very unorthodox wall, but it is a full wall off. Oh, he's so close to the Lings. Is he going to get them? He is going to get a couple of shots off. Not going to get any really critical killing of those Lings off. This is actually really important because he needs these Lings to hold this Marauder Hellion push. He has a couple spines going down, but he's getting a few Roaches. I'd like to see him just go Lings now. He has 5 or 6 Roaches. You don't want to get too many because he's producing a ton of Marauders, but 5 or 6 Roaches to be able to focus down some of the Hellions while then getting the Lings in. Ling Baneling is actually probably my favorite way to deal with this, but we'll see how this is gonna go.
I like that he pulled workers to repair well. It's kind of like having Ghetto Medivacs early on. 3 SCVs repairing. Look at that Micro Penguin pulling back the low Hellions. Beautifully done here by Zai. Some masterful handling, and now we have them transforming. Hellbats have arrived.
Oh, where are the Marauders? He's been supply blocked pretty heavily, actually, but here come a couple of Marauders. Actually, he's only got 2 in the mix, but that is going to be enough to do quite a bit of DPS to the Queens and these Spine Crawlers. Zerglings running on forward, but they're going to get fried by these Hellbats.
Yeah, that's only the Roaches left to contend with, but the Marauders should be able to help deal with this. He will not walk away from this battle unscathed, as he does lose most of his units. He does have a follow-up coming across the field, but they're so far away.
I think the big issue there was that Zai just didn't have the number of Marauders. I'm not quite sure. Oh, he misrallied. They're all in the corner of his base.
Oh, Penguin, look at all of them. There's so many. That is rather unfortunate. Oh, he probably, you know what, when the Zerglings came down to that watchtower, yeah, there's the oops. He probably put up the supply wall to be completely defensive, and Marauders don't have the best AI when they're trying to get past the wall.
Yeah, no units really do. But on the other hand, that is going to make this follow-up push very, very strong and very, very scary. He's only really got
he's pulling SCVs too, Penguin.
I like this decision. At this point, there is a Spire on the way. If he doesn't kill Zai now, he's just going to die.
Yeah, he's got no anti-air whatsoever. This is
Link's going to get in, but not going to be able to do that much.
Well, the thing is, even if it comes down to a base race at this point, it's Terran. You just lift up. Like, 4 Zerglings won't force that, but if it did, you know, the Hellbats are here to buffer for these Marauders. There's an insane amount of Marauders with this Penguin. The 11 Marauders to 7 Roaches are not going to hold up. No.
Oh no, he's only making Roaches. Oh, this is going to be pretty difficult to hold now, and all of a sudden, the second push from Zai looks like it may just kill SgtYork.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, like, there's so many Marauders here. Zerglings would have been a much better response. There's not many Hellbats after that first push. And drones are being pulled, but drones can't do too much with some Marauders. These Roaches are going to pop, but you know what? There's just too many numbers here from the Terran player. High ground, low ground.
Not enough gas for the Mutas. He's only got 2 Mutas on the way.
Yeah, he was forced to make 12 Roaches.
But on the other hand, he actually is doing a lot of damage here with these Roaches.
Ooh, we had Zai shooting destructible rocks there, unfortunately. So really did cut down the amount of damage he could do. Nice transfuse from SgtYork on those Roaches, keeping him alive a little bit longer. But as soon as those Mutalisks get on the field, that's going to change everything, Penguin. There's no reactor for the Bears. There's only 3 Marines potentially produced at a time. And 3 Mutalisks can deal with 3 Marines. Yeah,
this looked like it was going really well for Zai, but I think he's just dead at this point. He pulled a lot of SCVs. He's down to only 13 workers to the 28 of his opponent. 26 overall supply. And I think, like you were saying, focusing down the rocks, I think that may have killed him.
Well, that definitely did not help, but that supply depot blocking his Marauders in the base, if he had all of those Marauders for that same first push, this would have been over 5 minutes ago.
I think so. He didn't, I mean, we saw SgtYork have not all that much in the way of units to defend that first push, but the lack of Marauders being there really, really helped him quite a bit. And
here goes
trying to do a little bit of damage, but the Mutas are going to fly on in here, and this will be the end of the game.
Yeah, not even Marines in production. GG.